Oh, this is RPGNate
and RPGDad, and this is our weekly Encounters wrap-up. Last week was week 8 of the season entitled Scourge of the Sword Coast. You'll remember that by the time we get to week 12.
No, I won't, because I don't care.
So, I didn't play at your table this week.
No.
I had to run a table, which I talked about last week. And so what we'll do, I'm going to have you talk about what happened at your table, then I'll talk about what happened at mine. I have no idea what happened at yours, except you guys said that you found the bloke.
Yeah, we continue where you guys left off.
Which was what?
You were at the tents, but they decided because they needed
But it was at the
rest.
castle, right? What's the name of the castle?
Harpshield
Castle.
Harpshield, yeah. So they decided that they needed to rest, and it wasn't a good idea to camp in the tents because they figured I'd probably kill them again, which I would. But that would be with something completely different. So they went into the tower with the original 2 guards.
Mm-hmm.
And they found a pigsty there and another orc of a different tribe.
A real pigsty, like pigs with eating?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't
Not
understand.
just a dirty room, but a pigsty.
Yeah, a pigsty. I don't understand.
Well, maybe the orcs like pork.
No, it's a guard tower, and it was obviously set up there as a pigsty originally.
Well, they like pork.
No, the builders of the castle
The builders of the castle like pork.
made a supposed defensive tower.
Well, the defenders, if they got hungry, they could eat some pork. Go ahead.
I just didn't get that. I thought it was stupid that they just decided to put a
I
random
wanted to have a
pigsty.
luau, that's all.
But I think they actually tied up the orc because, I mean, I don't get why they put 1 or 2 orcs in an area.
Now, were they armed, or...?
They were. The orc was armed.
So then how did they just take it and with the orc?
Well, he was watching the pigs. They literally said he's watching the pigs. So, he's watching the pigs. The thief succeeds, or not the thief, the ranger succeeds on his stealth check.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts a knife up to his throat, and what do you do at that point?
You surrender.
Yeah. So they tie him up, they question him a little bit. He's not helpful, which is...
Normal.
Yeah. I think he gave them a little bit of information, but not much because they were failing checks and he was lying successfully.
Okay.
So, I figured he's an orc, so he would probably lie.
Sure.
Even if they succeed on an intimidate, because those guys, they're scared.
Well, if they succeed on intimidate, you've got to give them the truth at that point. But if they were failing, like you said, then they're not getting anything out of them.
I think one kid succeeded on intimidate, and then I'm like, what do you say? And he's like, well, I intimidate him. And it's like...
Yeah, some of the people haven't gotten the idea. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not a fan of just, I roll and intimidate. All right, so what do? I hold up a stuffed bunny and wave it at him. That's not intimidating.
No.
Our rule at our tables is always, roll, but then you have to tell me what you say.
Yeah, basically what you're doing is you're saying it, and the intimidate roll is to see if you actually
Intimidated the person.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say something horrible to the person, and them still, maybe they're a total badass, and it's like, yeah, right, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, they got through there.
Yeah. They just tied that guy up. They left him because, I mean, they have a lawful good cleric, and he's trying to act like he's not fully lawful good and trying to kind of be like, well, you could do it while I'm not there, and it's just
but if you're doing that and knowingly leaving the room, then there comes a point you have to penalize a character for knowingly leaving a room and allowing something evil to happen.
Yes.
Because you are, at that point, facilitating it.
Yes.
And so, I mean, you've got to be hard on players when they're doing that.
Yeah.
But let's move past the intimidation and stuff and get to what happened once they got down, and there were lower levels, I assume.
Yeah, there was a common room kind of place with food and stuff that had a door. I think you guys know.
Well, it doesn't have to be that detailed. What did they get through, though?
Well, there was that one which was empty, and then there was another one which was in a tower. These are 2 trap doors. No traps on them. So, they go to the tower. There are 2 orcs in there. I just made them fight because they're guarding, and either way they're going to die. So, they beat them.
Where'd they move from there?
It was pretty quick. They go down into the underground. And then they went through, they found some zombies, they killed them, they found some treasure, they took that.
And the treasure was not the bloke, that was just like a minor treasure?
That was like a storeroom of a tavern turned into a loot room.
And I'm asking that because that'll be pertinent to where my thing was.
Yeah.
Now, were there any giant spiders involved in this thing?
They didn't run into them.
Okay, so they avoided them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty hard to actually find the giant spiders, I'm pretty sure.
Now, the spiders, I guess, were not near the bloke.
I'm not 100% sure. I kind of read the things as I go through because...
But they never went through the rooms where those things were.
No.
Okay.
They went through where the Gricks were, but the Gricks weren't there because the way the trap works is they go through, and when they come back through, the Gricks are there. Not a very good trap.
Okay.
So
how did we get to the bloke then?
You guys killed the zombies. You went through a door, and you saw where the wall of sticks and mud and just stuff like that was. And then they found a barracks kind of place where they were just resting, so I figured you don't rest in your armor.
Now, who was the elf that had supposedly come here? What had happened to him? Because
you guys don't know, but it's what you can guess is he's dead. Because that's kind of what the orcs have hinted at.
Because somebody had killed him. I know you had said something to me afterwards.
Yeah. Spoilers there.
Well,
so,
hopefully most... This whole adventure is so goofy. I would hope some people have gotten to this, but once you've gotten to this, it kind of leaves two areas that need to be played, but there's no point in playing them except to burn the extra weeks.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are like 3 or 4 areas, I think, like that.
Yeah.
But there are 3 actual important areas, and then there are the rest of the areas which
Or for fun.
Yeah. So, let's see. You guys go into the common room. There are 2 orcs sitting there. They have no armor on, pretty much, because they're sitting there resting. So, do you rest in your armor?
You might.
I don't know. You wouldn't have your weapons right there. But they surrender because they're just sitting there relaxing, and suddenly a party full of armed people just come through the door. And they tie them up, question them a little bit. Nothing. Or no, I don't know if they questioned that.
So was the bloke in here?
Yeah.
Well, come on, let's get to the bloke. I want to hear where the bloke was.
Well, they got to where the warlord of the place was because this place is just like all tunnels and empty rooms.
Okay.
Just a bunch of pointless stuff. It's not very well built dungeon. So they get to where the warlord is, which the way they got there was there were 2 walls built by the Gricks. They smashed through one and then smashed through the other. And when they turned right, there was the warlord. He was sitting on a throne. He had the bloke in his hands. He had glowing red eyes, and when they killed him, he blew up. Like the other 2, I think.
Okay. But that was pretty much the end of the encounter for you guys?
Yeah.
Alright. So
at least he got somewhere and got something important.
So we'll pick up in that room then when I come back next week.
Yeah, that's where I cut off.
Alright, so I picked up at another DM's table.
Yes.
And
from what I heard, this one was just all screwed up.
But as I said last week, you know, I kept getting told by this other DM that the table wouldn't play, they wouldn't do anything, they were indecisive, all this kind of stuff. Now, he told me they had finished the tower, or they came out of the tower. Now, I now realize that they have not finished the tower. They got to the spiders, which are nowhere near the bloke. They went to the minor treasure room, and they never got the bloke. No. So this DM's totally screwed up. Now, this was 8 weeks in, and this is the only place that this table's been.
Now, the biggest fuck up that this DM has had, that I've heard of, is he's been throwing assassins, which are nowhere in there.
From the last thing. He's throwing stuff at them. I mean, they'll bring something up, and he throws an encounter at them, and he's slowing them down.
Yeah. But let me finish. The Gricks.
I know, but I don't care about the Gricks or anything else. Let me finish, because he's telling me how that this table can't make decisions, they argue with each other, and they can't do anything.
Yeah.
I sat down, I told them how I DM, and I told them how it was going to go. So I sit down, and because I was under the assumption that here's the thing, I don't read these things because I'm playing this season, and I don't want to know where the bloke is and all this kind of stuff. Only after I talked to you and you said they found the bloke at the castle did I realize this table got screwed even worse this week because I didn't get all the information from the DM. But
I don't even think he knew where the bloke was.
But anyway, he's been telling me how difficult the table was, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Like I said last week, now they didn't have a cleric or a paladin. They had a druid, and I played it like it's one of her nature god or whatever goddess gives her power. She has a dream and nightmare about the town, because that was my plan, to get them to Jolkoon. and to get them through Jalkun, which is about 6 encounters to get through that area. Well, guess what we did in that time? We did 6 encounters, we cleaned out Jalkun, and now they know they need to go to the wrong place, but they're heading off to the Dwarven Dungeon Firehammer Hold. Here's the thing. I did the first 4 encounters, went really quick. I ended up with about 20 minutes, and I was like, all right, I've got 2 more encounters. I know what I need to do here. I've played this area, so I'm familiar with it. I said, they started to set up minis. I said, no, I'm erasing the board. I said, let's play Theater of the Mind. I know I said Theater of the Mind sucks, which it generally does, but when you've got 20 minutes and 2 combats, I rocked through that using Theater of the Mind.
Yeah.
The tables still had fun. Now, here's the thing. The week before, the thief had robbed one of the fighters of all his stuff when he was dead, with 2 paladins in the party.
Yes.
Nothing was done about that. The paladins should have been stripped of their power at that time because they're both lawful good.
Yes.
They have been doing all kinds of stupid stuff. I DM the table, and they get to the area in Jalkun where they find a lot of treasure that belonged to the temple.
Yes.
I didn't say anything, and the thief, the first thing out of his mouth was, well, maybe we should return that to the temple or keep it to give it to the priest when we find him. So I really think the problem is not the table at this moment. I think the problem is bad DMing, and the stuff that they've told me has been going on, and the encounters that are being thrown on that have nothing to do with this entire module, or why they spent 8 weeks, 7 weeks in one area without being able to get the bloke and without being able to move on. So I've got to talk to 2 DMs. Now I'm going to tell you, now the one DM I've just talked about, I mean, he's throwing crap. If you're DMing, don't throw crap that's not in the module at him because you think it's cool. It's not cool. It delays the game, and they'll never finish the module in the 12 weeks you have. No. Don't do that. Don't be a dick. Remember I Don't Be a Dick as a DM video? Don't be a dick as a DM and fuck up your module for your people.
Link in the descriptions for that video.
I've got another DM who's fucking up their table. They've got one player who's the tank who moves slower than everybody, and he will not let players... oh my god, it's been standard. You can move through an ally square.
That's been the way it has been.
You're in a 5-foot tunnel. You can still move through an ally square. They're going to let you through. You can't move through an enemy square because they're going to resist. An ally is going to cooperate. So I have an entire table who has been in one area because this DM's like, you have to roll a dexterity roll, and nobody can make a fucking roll. No. So they've spent now 8 weeks in one area, have not completed anything, and one of the players is like, well, you know, somebody's up ahead. I just stand there and spin in circles because I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And... oh my god, don't be a stupid DM. Don't fuck your table up and don't make up bogus rules that have nothing to do with the game. So now I've got 2 guys who are grown men that I have to reprimand for fucking their tables over this week.
Yeah, and even in GURPS, which is a lot more tactical combat.
And it's a lot more rules. I mean, there's nothing simpler than D&D Next.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing.
It's been like this in damn near every single RPG, as long as it's not like a 1-foot square or something that you can move through.
Well, I can see in GURPS because it's a 3-foot area.
Even there,
it would still. I mean, it would be really hard. There should be a rule that in a narrow, if you have a 3-foot corridor, you're not going to be able to push through your butt because he's going to go like this. His defenses are now down. There are going to be issues.
Yeah.
But a 5-foot corridor, we're still not 5 feet, and we're shoulder to shoulder.
No.
Okay? Don't be a dumbass DM. Play the rules and don't make it difficult for your party. It's a game. You're supposed to have fun. If you want real life, join the military, go in real combat, then talk to me. But don't try to pretend that you've got to do something you don't. That's not in the rules. Don't do it. I know there's only one rule we've bent because I think that the critical rule that they've made where you just get an extra die, you could roll double 1s now. Let's say you've got a d6 plus your modifier. You could roll double 1s and still just have a 2 plus your modifier. Yeah. That's not really a crit. I think that's a broken rule.
The critical hit is where you're hitting a vital or just hitting somewhere.
Exactly, and it should be max damage plus an extra d. Or just max damage I'd be happy with.
Yeah. In 4th edition, it does max damage because damage was a lot heavier back then.
Exactly. But even max damage now, it would be fine because, you know, the monsters are not that powerful. When you're coming up against a powerful monster, it's not that hard for these characters to kill these monsters.
No.
Unless they can't roll. If they can't roll, yeah, it's almost impossible, which we've had weeks like that. The last week I played at your table, it was like that. But I should not have to sit down and talk to DMs because they're not guiding tables and they're not playing the rules that are written. They need to play the rules, and they need to make it fun for the table. And when I've got a table who, I mean, the DM's like, well, as long as they're having fun. I had players complaining to me beforehand that they've been in the same area.
Yeah.
And that's not a group that's having fun. So
No.
I've got 2 DMs that I'm probably firing after this season. I've got another DM that's coming back that'll take place of 1.
Yes.
And I've got another guy who I've heard is a good DM, and I want to give him a shot.
Yes.
So that'll
Good DM
give us
as long as he's not drunk.
well, you can't drink there, or I will kick you out.
Yeah, I don't.
You know, and that's the thing. Oh, it's a store. Yeah, the store's already told me if somebody does something inappropriate, you can't tell them to get out.
Yeah.
So I will kick them out. But that's it for this week. I mean, I went in this week thinking it was going to be absolutely horrible with a terrible table, and I had a hell of a lot of fun. So, and the table, we were over there laughing the whole time, weren't we?
Yes.
So it just comes down to, you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to sometimes encourage the players and just have fun. And don't make up arbitrary rules that only an idiot would put into a game.
Yes.
But that's it for this week. Remember to like, link, subscribe, whatever. Like, rate, or subscribe.
Like, favorite, because liking is technically rating.
Like, favorite, blah, 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 blah. But subscribe. And go ahead, look at the blog. We still haven't painted any minis. I've got them right here in front of me on the table that you can't see. I'm pointing to. And we still have stuff to paint. I mean, RPG Gem's got one over there primed she needs to do. I've got a pile primed over there. You've got some primed. We need to paint.
Yes. Alright, well, that's it for this video. Like he said, if you enjoyed the video, do this stuff. And we will see you next time.
That's right. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.
Bye.